Welcome back to the Cosmic Awakening podcast. I am Makāula Nakae, a lifelong experiencer and ET contactee since 1990. I have a wealth of insights and stories to share from decades of lived experiences spanning spiritual, interdimensional, and extraterrestrial contacts. Today's episode: The World of ET Contacts, Beyond C5. Chapter 8, Ego Demolition. The Architecture of Illusion, Deepening the Nature of the Ego. The ego is not merely a psychological quirk or a superficial mask. It is an intricate tapestry of self, weaving identity through threads of memory, accumulated experience, and the subtle, persistent influences of the world around us. It functions as the primary lens through which we perceive reality, offering a vital sense of continuity, a stable foothold in the ever-shifting, chaotic landscape of human existence. Yet, this very construct can insidiously transform from a survival mechanism into a cage. By binding consciousness to rigid fears, unexamined desires, and automated behavioral loops, the ego obscures the profound vastness of our true, unconditioned nature. In the light of genuine spiritual awakening, the urgent call for ego demolition emerges, not as an act of self-destruction, but as a liberating invitation to dismantle the heavy, blinding illusions that the ego clings to so desperately. 1. The ego is a biological and psychological survival engine. To understand why the ego grips reality so tightly, we must examine its origin within the human vehicle. Rooted heavily in the automated intelligence of the physical body and the survival-driven hardware of the brain, the ego is fundamentally designed to protect the separate self. The illusion of separation, the ego thrives on boundaries. By defining itself strictly as this body, this personal history, and this set of beliefs, it creates a fundamental sense of division from the rest of the universe. The fear of annihilation. Because the ego is constructed from temporal memories and physical sensations, it is inherently terrified of the unknown. Any shift in consciousness, higher dimensional contact, or ego dissolution is automatically interpreted by the survival-driven brain as a literal threat to life itself, triggering frantic defense mechanisms, judgment, and emotional resistance. 2. The trap of identification, mistaking the mask for the source. As explored through the mechanics of automatic intelligence, the human organism naturally generates a persona, a mask shaped by environment, culture, and neuroprogramming. The golden cage of the mind. When an individual remains asleep on autopilot, they completely mistake this temporary persona for their true, immortal individual consciousness. They become entirely subservient to their obsessions, ambitions for dominance, and reflexive emotional triggers. The externalization of fear. Bound within the ego's limited perspective, the mind constantly projects its internal conflicts outward. Whether manufacturing despair about a doomed world or demonizing the unknown into external monsters and controllers, the ego seeks scapegoats to protect its fragile identity from having to confront its own internal conditioning. 3. The necessity of ego demolition and true awakening. True spiritual evolution and higher ET consciousness cannot be integrated while carrying the heavy baggage of an unexamined, dominant ego. Stepping into the seat of consciousness, ego demolition does not mean destroying the physical body or eliminating personality. Rather, it means transcending the illusion of being controlled by the persona. It requires moving from the reactive passenger seat into the true seat of consciousness. Dissolving the boundaries. When the ego's rigid structures are dismantled through mindfulness, breathwork, and direct energetic alignment, the walls of the cage fall away. The individual awakens to the infinite, multi-dimensional reality of existence, realizing that consciousness is not confined to the brain and that true peace, unity, and sovereign freedom lie just beyond the illusions of the self. The call for ego demolition. Ego demolition is not merely a process. It is a profound act of liberation that requires courage and introspection. It invites us to peel away the conditioning layers, recognize the patterns that define us, and release the attachments that confine our spirit. As we embark on this journey, we find the strength to confront the beliefs that no longer serve us, stepping into the unknown with a heart open to transformation. This dismantling process often feels like a deep excavation, revealing the raw, unprocessed emotions and memories buried beneath the surface. It is an invitation to confront our fears, insecurities, and the parts of ourselves we have long ignored. By facing these shadows, we can only begin to dismantle the ego's defenses and embrace the fullness of our being. The serpent fire of transformation, deepening the awakening of Kundalini. Long before modern science began mapping neuroplasticity, bioelectric biofeedback, and the architecture of the human nervous system, ancient esoteric traditions mapped an internal primordial mechanism of staggering power. Kundalini, often described poetically as a sleeping serpent, coiled at the base of the spine, at the root chakra or Muladhara. Kundalini is far more than a poetic metaphor. It is the ultimate latent biospiritual current of the human vehicle, waiting for the precise alignment of consciousness, physical discipline, and spiritual readiness to awaken. When this immense force is finally triggered, it ignites an inner fire of consciousness that pierces through the ego's illusions, recalibrates the physical body, and propels the individual toward profound spiritual enlightenment and multidimensional awareness. 1. The anatomy of the serpent fire. Physiology meets spirit. To understand Kundalini awakening, we must look at how subtle energy intersects with the physical human organism. The bioelectric current. When dormant, this energy hums quietly at the base of the spine, fueling our baseline survival instincts, vitality, and connection to the earth. When awakened through deep meditation, breathwork such as pranayama or ujjayi breathing or high-frequency energetic downloads, it shifts from a localized current into a surging, dynamic force. Ascending the chakras. As Kundalini rises, it systematically pierces and purifies each energy center, chakra, moving upward from the root through the sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, and third eye, ultimately uniting at the crown, Sahasrara. Each chakra acts as a psychological and physiological transformer. As the serpent fire ascends, it burns away old emotional blockages, unresolved traumas, and rigid ego structures stored in those specific regions of the body. 2. The bridge between the serpent myth and inner awakening. It is no linguistic coincidence that this supreme spiritual energy is traditionally symbolized as a serpent. Across ancient world mythologies, the snake represents rebirth, transformation, and the shedding of old skins. Transcending the lizard brain. Earlier we explored the biological reptilian brain, medulla oblongata and basal ganglia, the automated fear-driven survival engine that keeps humanity trapped in reactive fight or flight loops. The awakening of Kundalini represents the absolute mastery and alchemical transmutation of this primal energy. From survival to ascension. Instead of allowing the reptilian center to drive the human vehicle through panic, territoriality, and division, the rising Kundalini fire takes that exact same raw, foundational life force and funnels it upward into higher consciousness. The lower animal instincts are not destroyed. They are alchemized, turning the physical body into a refined conduit for divine intelligence. 3. The challenge of the fire. Navigating the ego's resistance. Because Kundalini is an absolute force of truth and transformation, its awakening is rarely a gentle, comfortable stroll. Shattering the persona. As the serpent fire surges upward, it directly challenges the ego's fragile identity, memories, and manufactured masks, the automatic intelligence, RAI we discussed earlier. The ego, terrified of losing its absolute control, fights back with intense physical symptoms, emotional turbulence, psychological purging, and existential vertigo. The necessity of integration. This is why forced or ungrounded awakenings can be deeply overwhelming. True Kundalini mastery requires preparing the physical vehicle, calming the nervous system, balancing internal density, and anchoring awareness in the seat of consciousness. 4. Awakening to the infinite. When Kundalini finally reaches the crown, the illusion of separation shatters entirely. The individual realizes that they are not a fragile biological machine trapped in a hostile, doomed world, but an infinite conduit of cosmic intelligence bridging earth and heaven, matter and spirit. The sleeping serpent wakes up, and in its wake, the true, sovereign self is finally revealed. The alchemical ascent, deepening the journey of awakening. The journey of awakening is not a gentle abstraction or a passive philosophical shift. It is a profound, systemic overhaul of the human vehicle. When the latent biospiritual current of Kundalini stirs from its sleep at the base of the spine, it initiates a rigorous alchemical process. This ascent forces consciousness out of its dormant, automated loops and guides it through a multi-stage transformation that touches every layer of our physical, emotional, and energetic existence. 1. Activation. Kundalini activation is rarely quiet. It can arrive as a sudden moment of grace, a spontaneous flash during profound stillness, or the culmination of dedicated spiritual technologies, such as advanced meditation, pranayama breathwork, and energetic alignment. The internal spark. As this primordial energy begins to stir, it sends immediate, undeniable ripples of sensation through the nervous system, subtle tingles, intense inner warmth, and waves of living vibrancy. Shifting the anchor. This initial stirring acts as a biological magnet, violently or gently pulling our awareness away from the external noise of the modern world and drawing it directly inward, demanding that we finally listen to the signals of the physical vehicle. 2. Purification. With the rise of Kundalini comes an inevitable and often turbulent wave of purification. As the bioelectric current ascends, it acts like a high-frequency scanner, illuminating every dark corner of the subconscious. Confronting the shadow, unresolved emotional wounds, suppressed past traumas, and hidden primal fears surge to the surface. This confrontation is absolute. It forces us to look directly at what we have avoided. Dismantling ego defenses. This purging process is essential for dismantling the ego's rigid armor. As old blockages break down, individuals may experience intense periods of emotional upheaval, physical discomfort, and sudden psychological insights that shatter previous self-conceptions. It is the necessary burning away of dross to prepare the vessel for higher frequencies. 3. Transformation. As the serpent fire clears the lower emotional centers and ascends through the higher chakras, we are beckoned into a realm of radical transformation. Shattering the mask. Profound insights emerge, illuminating the definitive truth that the ego is merely a biological construct, a temporary mask, or automatic intelligence generated by the physical organism. Cosmic integration. Embracing this awakened state dissolves the rigid boundaries of the isolated self. We begin to directly experience our deep, undeniable interconnectedness with the cosmos. The local fear-driven worldview gives way to a unified perception of existence, infused with higher purpose and multidimensional clarity. 4. Densification and causal structure. The mechanics of a Kundalini awakening are intricately tied to the concept of density, referring not just to physical matter, but to the multi-layered energetic architecture of existence that surrounds and permeates us. Cultivating energetic density. By consciously densifying our awareness, attention, and intention, we create a stable, coherent internal container. This deliberate focus prevents the rising energy from scattering or overwhelming the nervous system. Harmonizing causal pathways. This phase requires understanding the deep causal structures within ourselves, the root causes of our reactive behaviors, thoughts, and emotional triggers. By grounding ourselves firmly in the present moment and aligning with our absolute inner truth, we clear the energetic pathways, allowing Kundalini to flow smoothly and unobstructed through every chakra center. 5. Integration. The blazing peak of transformation is not the final destination. It must be anchored into the fabric of daily life. The return to the mundane. Following the ascent, individuals enter a delicate phase of integration. The newfound cosmic awareness must be translated and lived out amid everyday routines, relationships, and human responsibilities. Overcoming ego resistance. This phase is often where the deepest challenges arise, as the remnants and habits of the old ego fight to reclaim lost territory. Cultivating consistent, grounding practices such as breath regulation, somatic awareness, and calm observation is crucial. Integration allows the staggering insights of the Kundalini awakening to permanently permeate our existence, turning transient spiritual experiences into a stable, embodied state of higher consciousness. Transcendental experiences. The journey beyond transcendental experiences transport us beyond the ordinary, opening the door to states of consciousness where unity and bliss reign. These moments of expanded awareness can be catalyzed by various practices, including deep meditation, profound insights, or simply the stillness of the heart. The infinite horizon, deepening the path to transcendence. To step onto the path of transcendence is to cross the threshold from local, survival-bound awareness into the vast multidimensional expanse of the cosmos. When the physical vehicle is refined, the ego's automated intelligence is quieted, and the inner biospiritual currents flow unobstructed. Consciousness ceases to identify merely with the biological mask. It expands outward and inward simultaneously, revealing dimensions of reality that defy ordinary human vocabulary. 1. Unity with the universe. In deep transcendental states, the rigid, skin-encapsulated boundaries of the ego completely dissolve, allowing consciousness to awaken to the absolute truth of oneness. Dissolving the illusion of separation, the artificial wall between self and other fades away. The individual realizes that they are not an isolated speck drifting in a hostile and different universe, but an integral, living expression of the cosmos itself. The sanctuary of belonging. In this space of unified awareness, existential loneliness vanishes. Recognizing that our core essence is interwoven with the very fabric of space, time, and matter instills an unshakable sense of peace, profound belonging, and cosmic safety. We comprehend our exact place in the grand tapestry of existence, not as cogs in a machine, but as conscious focal points through which the universe experiences itself. 2. Expanded awareness. Transcendental experiences shatter the narrow horizons of ordinary perception, illuminating who we truly are far beyond the constraints of social conditioning, memory, and egoic identity. Clarity through the lens of the whole. In these elevated states, an overwhelming clarity washes over the nervous system. Life's complex, chaotic paradoxes are suddenly viewed not through the panic lens of survival or judgment, but through a pure, unconditioned lens of unconditional love and holistic understanding. Embodying beyond verbal wisdom, the insights accessed in these moments frequently transcend the binary limits of human language. They cannot be neatly parsed into sentences. Rather, they are downloaded as energetic packages, intuitive blueprints, and profound states of being that permanently upgrade the individual's inner operating system. 3. Emotional release. Just as the rising Kundalini fire purges the chakras, genuine transcendence demands a thorough, cathartic emotional clearing. Surrendering the ego's grip, the ego carries an immense, exhausting burden, holding on to ancient grudges, unhealed grief, chronic defense mechanisms, and societal expectations. By voluntarily surrendering the ego's desperate grip on control, the emotional body experiences a sweeping release. The catharsis of liberation, this release is visceral and real. It can manifest as sudden, uncontainable tears of profound relief, spontaneous laughter at the cosmic joke of our self-created seriousness, or a sudden, weightless lightness of being. It liberates the physical vehicle from the heavy, toxic, energetic residue of past traumas and ancestral conditioning. 4. Creative flow. When the muddy waters of automated thinking and survival anxiety are cleared, the mind becomes an open conduit for pure inspiration. Tapping the boundless well, transcendental states violently fling open the doors of intuition and imagination. Individuals frequently report an explosion of creative capacity, where artistic, scientific, and philosophical innovations flow effortlessly through them rather than from them. The joy of universal creation. This creative expansion is invariably accompanied by deep joy and spiritual fulfillment. By tapping directly into the boundless well of universal inspiration that resides within the deeper layers of consciousness, the individual stops merely reacting to reality and begins actively co-creating with it. The sacred integration, deepening the art of embracing the journey. The intertwined paths of ego demolition, Kundalini awakening, and transcendental states do not form a casual spiritual hobby. They constitute a rigorous, sacred tapestry of absolute transformation. This journey requires courage, discipline, and patience. As we navigate the immense shifts of consciousness required to move from automated biological survival into sovereign spiritual awareness, we must cultivate active, grounded practices that support our ongoing evolution. 1. Meditation, the sanctuary of the inner observer. Meditation is not merely a tool for relaxation. It serves as the foundational sanctuary for quieting the relentless chatter of the automated brain. Cultivating non-judgmental awareness. By sitting in stillness, we learn to step back from the frantic loops of the ego and observe our thoughts, emotional surges, and survival-driven impulses without identifying with them. Preparing the vessel. This quietude lays the vital groundwork for dismantling the ego's defenses. It calms the physical vehicle, lowers the nervous system's reactivity, and creates the internal silence necessary for the dormant Kundalini energy to stir safely and rise without obstruction. 2. Yoga, the alchemical movement of energy. True yoga is far more than physical exercise. It is an ancient, precise technology designed to awaken Kundalini's fire while harmonizing the physical and emotional bodies. Unblocking the circuitry. Through synchronized movement, postural alignment, and intentional breathwork, pranayama, we systematically release physical tension, armor, and emotional blockages stored within the muscular and fascial layers of the body. Listening to the subtle body. Each pose acts as a gateway to deeper self-awareness, teaching us to tune out external noise and listen intimately to the subtle whispers, heat currents, and energetic flows moving through our inner landscape. 3. Mindfulness, breaking the chains of automatic intelligence. Practicing mindfulness anchors consciousness firmly in the present moment, dissolving the anxiety of the future and the regret of the past. Spotting the AI patterns. This heightened continuous perception acts as a spotlight on the automated behavioral patterns, unconscious triggers, and defense mechanisms that construct the ego. Stepping out of the loop. By grounding ourselves in the immediate now, we catch the mind in the act of generating fear or drama. This pause creates a crucial gap, allowing us to dismantle the reflexive responses that govern ordinary human behavior and choose conscious sovereignty instead. 4. Journaling, the mirror of self-reflection. Reflective journaling provides a tangible, sacred canvas for exploring the depths of our thoughts, shadow material, and emotional states. Examining the narrative. By putting pen to paper, we externalize the hidden stories, dogmas, and victimhood narratives that prop up the egoic identity, shedding the old skin. Writing serves as an uncompromising mirror, reflecting the exact beliefs and behavioral loops we are ready to release, while illuminating the clear, unvarnished path toward our authentic, multidimensional self. 5. Seeking guidance, navigating the map with community. While the inner journey of awakening is deeply personal, it is never meant to be walked in total isolation. Anchoring through connection. Connecting with experienced guides, mentors, holistic practitioners, or supportive communities provides essential grounding, perspective, and encouragement during periods of intense purification or energetic upheaval. Fostering shared resonance. Sharing authentic experiences within a safe circle dissolves the illusion of spiritual loneliness, creating a powerful collective container that nurtures individual transformation. The unfolding horizon. In this sacred exploration of self, ego demolition, Kundalini awakening, and transcendental states beckon us past the illusions of the material prison and into true spiritual liberation. Every deliberate step invites us to delve deeper into the infinite wellspring of our being, unlocking the profound truths that lie beyond binary human language. As we fully embrace this journey, we awaken to the boundless nature of existence, forging an unbreakable, living connection between our inner essence and the vast cosmos. The eternal dance of transformation calls, inviting us to step boldly into the light of our true essence, where the rigid boundaries of the separated self dissolve and the infinite, radiant potential of our spirit finally unfolds. To be continued. Watch and listen. Watch the cinematic video trailer. Listen to the full podcast now. Explore the archived Cosmic Awakening, Part 1, Sacred Valley of the Incas. Volume 2, Ascension 2012, The Golden Alchemy. Part 3, The First Contact. Join the journey. New episodes drop periodically. Each chapter delivers a tight, hyper-focused 10 to 30-minute hit of real-life experiences, perfect for your daily plunge into consciousness exploration. Subscribe to support your inner development. Thumbs up to help push our channel through the algorithm. Comment below. Share your thoughts on today's exploration.